Alright, let's talk about Nintendo, Palworld, and the kind of pattern that makes you wonder if we're sliding into a future where pressing the summon button in a game legally belongs to one company. Yep, you're right. This is one of the stories where the more you look into it, the more dystopian it feels, and the scarier it is for the future of gaming. So, here's the situation. You probably know Palworld by now, also known on the internet as Pokemon with guns. It blew up in like early 2024 because, well, it's basically a survival crafting game where you capture these adorable creatures called pals, shove them into little spheres, and then either fight with them, ride them, or put them to work in your sweatshop base. And of course, the similarities to Pokemon were so obvious that everyone knew Nintendo when the Pokemon company would eventually show up at the door with a legal hammer. And that hammer, my folks, finally came down last September when Nintendo and the Pokemon Company sued Palworld's developer Pocket Pair in the Tokyo District Court. The claim? Patent infringement. Specifically, Nintendo argued that Palworld copied core mechanics protected under Pokemon's patents, things like capturing creatures with throwable devices, summoning them to fight, and even riding or flying on them. And Pocket Pair has already started backpedaling. They've updated the game so to tweak or remove certain features, like the ability to just throw out a Pal Sphere to instantly summon a creature. Even some of the mount mechanics have been altered. Clearly, the lawsuit has teeth. But here's where the plot thickens. While all the legal drama was cooking, Nintendo was also busy across the ocean in the US, quietly securing a brand new patent. This isn't some little side filling either, it's big, it's broad. And to be honest, it's kind of terrifying as well. Just a few days ago, the US Patent Office granted Nintendo patent number, well, let me see, it's patent number 12,403,397. This thing describes a system where a player can input a command to summon what the patent calls a sub-character onto the screen. And that sub-character can then battle enemies, or if no enemy is nearby, just wander around. And for many of you, including me, it does sound familiar. Yeah, because that describes not just Pokemon, but also pretty much every monster, battler, or companion system in the entire gaming history. But here's the kicker. It's that Nintendo filed this back in March 2023, and it only just got approved this September. And the language of this patent is so vague that you could apply it to tons of games. Digimon World, covered. Final Fantasy summons, also covered. Heck, even Pikmin could be considered part of it. If your game has a mechanic where you bring out a creature or body to fight for you, you might be stepping into Nintendo's new legal playground, as we all know. Now, I know some people might shrug and say, well, that's just Nintendo protecting Pokemon. It's their crown, their jewel, worth gajillions. Of course they want to defend it. And sure, protecting intellectual property makes sense on paper. But here's a problem, like a big one. Patents like this are ridiculously broad. We're not talking about protecting Pikachu's exact design or the look of a Pokeball or I don't know the name of some random Pokemon. We're talking about protecting the very concept, the idea of summoning a character to fight for you in a video game. It's not just defensive, that's locking down a fundamental game mechanic and telling everyone else, try this and we'll see you in court. And some industry experts have already started calling this out. Intellectual property lawyers are saying this never should have been approved, that the US Patent Office failed to properly check for prior art, because prior art, older games that use the same mechanic, is everywhere. Monster Rancher, Final Fantasy, like tons of old arcade games had summoning systems before. And the fact that Nintendo can now claim ownership over something that's been around for decades is frankly absurd. And it raises the question, how many other basic mechanics are companies going to start trying to patent now? Leveling systems, loot boxes, jumping twice in the air and calling it a double jump. And listen, that's where the evil part creeps and now we're stepping into Nintendo, like Nintendo territory. I don't think Nintendo's twirling a mustache and plotting to destroy gaming, although it could possibly be the truth, but still, the ripple effect here is bad news. First, there's the chilling effect. If you're an indie developer and you want to make a monster collecting game, or even just a cool companion mechanic, you now have to think twice, because Nintendo could come knocking and you don't have millions of dollars to fight them in court. So, you either scrap your idea, water it down, or risk bankruptcy. Meanwhile, Nintendo gets to remain the king of that genre. Second, patents like this completely break creativity. Gaming is built on iteration. Every genre exists because developers looked at what came before and tried something new with it. Imagine if the first platformer patented jumping on enemies to defeat them, half the industry wouldn't exist. That's the kind of future this kind of movement pushes us toward to. A world where companies wall off ideas that should be shared building blocks for everyone. And third, and maybe the scariest, is precedent. If Nintendo can get away with this, you can bet other companies are going to start filing their own broad patents as well. Imagine Square Enix patenting turn-based combat menus, or Activision patenting their infamous matchmaking algorithms. But stretched even further into gameplay territory, suddenly making a game isn't about being creative, it's about navigating a minefield of legal land grabs. And watching your step, honestly. No, to be fair, just because Nintendo owns this patent doesn't mean they'll immediately sue every developer under the sun. Even though I could imagine Nintendo doing that because, well, it's Nintendo. But still, enforcing patents takes money and strategy. And often companies use them more as deterrents than weapons. But the existence of the patent alone is enough to make developers nervous and sweat a lot. And in the case of Palworld, Nintendo is clearly showing they're willing to swing that legal hammer when something looks a little too close for comfort. So this moment we're living through might actually end up being historically significant. 20 years from now, people might look back and say this was the moment when game mechanics officially became property, when summoning a creature wasn't just a cool gameplay idea, but a legal right owned by a single company. And if that's the case, the future of game design is going to feel a lot smaller and a lot less free. At the end of the day, it's a power move. From Nintendo's perspective, it's probably smart business. From the perspective of gamers and game devs, it feels like a step toward a darker, more restrictive era. And it puts us in this weird place where the very creativity that made gaming so exciting in the first place is being corralled into legal boxes. So yeah, my take, I think it's pretty dangerous and maybe even a little bit evil. Like, not even a little bit, I'm being completely honest, it's like the devil's work, to be honest. It's not Bowser kidnapping Princess Peach evil, but the slow corporate creativity killing evil that doesn't feel dramatic in the moment but reshapes everything over time. Because indie developers in the future might or have to always look for things and mechanics that they can or cannot use. And that's killing gaming, frankly. But anyway, I want to hear what you think. Is Nintendo just protecting its turf, or are they crossing a line that could screw over the future of gaming? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe. All that good stuff, you know. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.